Should I buy or should I rent? And boy, oh boy, it's the question of the century, right? So it depends on who you ask and depends on who you are, of course. But there really are three simple things to decide or to help you decide. Number one is your ability, right? So am I able to buy a house? That's the first thing we should talk about. What is my credit? Do I have provable income? Do I have any money at all? You don't necessarily need cash, but what kind of cash do I have for this transaction? Two is being willing, right? Am I willing to do this? Am I willing to stay in one place? Am I willing to live in that neighborhood for how long? Am I willing to outlay my cash every month? Am I willing to go through the rigmarole of getting a mortgage? Am I willing to do repairs? Okay, you got to have some willingness, right? You got to be wanting it and willing to do it. Number three is ready. Are you ready? If you're not ready, then no, you shouldn't do it. If you think you're ready, then yeah, you probably should do it. But are you ready? Are you ready, willing, and able? Did I just say that in a different way? Boy, that's embarrassing. All right, let's talk about them one at a time. So the ability to get a house could be daunting for some, but could be very easy for others. We want to have a good credit score. We want to be above 620 on the low. The lowest score should be above 620. It should be 621 or higher. The higher, the better across the board. We want to have provable income that we prove that we make, right? That we file our tax returns and make it simple for the bank to be proven to them that we actually have income. Third is cash. Some money at all. You don't necessarily need any money at all, but having something is better than nothing. Okay, so if I'm not able to do that, should I rent for a while? Yeah, absolutely. You can rent short term while you're saving some cash. You could rent long term while you're saving some cash. There are people that actually choose to rent because they can actually save more money by paying a lower rent amount. They don't have any overhead. They don't have any repairs. They don't have a higher mortgage payment. They are able to save to buy a house because they're renting. All right, so the willingness, are you willing to do it? Are you willing to put in the time, energy, and effort to find a house? Are you willing to maybe give up some things that you want in a dream home to be able to live in a neighborhood you want to live in, or maybe you can't live in a neighborhood you want to live in for some reason, you can't get a loan that high, or maybe you don't want to borrow that much money. How much house should I buy? It's a third rule, or times three. So how much money do I make each year? If I make $100,000, you should buy a $300,000 house. Now, these are very basic rules of thumb, but that is the answer. How much house should I buy? $300,000. Maybe you don't want to pay that much every month. So then let's consider renting. My mortgage payment on $300,000 house is going to be around maybe $1,800, maybe $1,500 to $2,500. Gosh, depending on taxes. And I'm really stretching it here. So if you're not comfortable with that, then you're not willing to, then we should rent. Maybe we should rent in that neighborhood for $1,600 or $1,700 to see if we like it. Maybe we should rent for a year or two at $1,400 or $1,200 so we can save some money and then maybe go buy a $400,000 house. There is a huge tax benefit from owning a home. You get to write off pretty much anything you buy for the house, and you do get to write off a portion of your payment, where if you are renting, you don't have that benefit. So you don't get to write off anything you buy for your house, and you could maybe write that off, but you see what I'm getting at. You also can't write off any part of your payment. Now, what's beautiful is you do not have to pay for anything as a tenant. Now, in some cases, they make you do pay for some repairs, but there are no repair costs as a renter. And some people, some investors even that invest in real estate, rent the personal residence they live in because they don't want to make repairs to where they live, because they're having to deal with all the investment property repairs, and really it's not that many. So there are many schools of thought about, is my home an asset? Some people will clearly tell you, absolutely yes. It's like your own little bank. You own the asset, you pay for it, you're getting benefit from all of it. You're getting benefit from equity, you're getting benefits from all portions of it. Whereas some people say, no, it's not an asset. It's actually the opposite of that, because it doesn't put money in your pocket. It takes money out of your pocket because you actually have to pay. You actually have to pay to stay. So depending on how you look at it or how you feel, it's up to you to determine. But if you want $800, $1,000, or $1,500 per month to go into something that benefits you, yes, owning a home is that. Where if you're renting, you're not putting it into equity. It's actually paying down. It's actually an asset that's performing for somebody else. We work with a lot of clients that are moving to the Philadelphia area, and a good 2/3 of them buy a property. We have several neighborhoods picked out, and usually they do too. They usually have a few neighborhoods they want to look at. We go look at some of those neighborhoods, or look at all those neighborhoods, and then we usually pick out a couple, three more neighborhoods that we think, based on their reaction to what they were feeling of their neighborhoods, and based on the similar areas, we take them into other areas that we think are similar and they might like. But about a third, or a little less than a third, or maybe a quarter of people, they want to rent for a year or even even 2 to see the area. They want to make sure they want to live in that area. And that's not a bad decision at all. There's a beautiful thing around called an Airbnb. I'm not sure if you heard of it, but I've actually had people live in Airbnbs for 3 to 4 months where they live in this section of the neighborhood for a month or 2, and they live in another section of the city or the outside the city for another month or 2. And then 3, 4, 5 months later, they say, okay, this is where I want to live. Boom, you bought a house in under a year. So you don't necessarily maybe want to rent for a long period is my point, but maybe you're not sure if I want to put my roots down and I want to stay here and I want to live here. Airbnb is a great way to do it, or short-term rentals are a great way to do it, or just ask for it. 6-month rentals are not unheard of. A lot of landlords and a lot of investors have gone to a 30-day lease or a 60-day lease with a 60-day notice. So if you're not comfortable in an area, you can move out quickly or you can end the lease pretty quickly. So it's important to consider when you're new to an area that you want to make sure, what neighborhood am I going to move to? And a lot of people that move into different areas across the United States, they're not sure of an area and maybe it's attracted to them because the rent is a good price. But then they realize it's not maybe quite a neighborhood or quite a section of the area, city or what have you, where they want to live. So my best advice of should I rent or should I buy, it's make sure you don't should all over yourself. A friend of mine says that don't should all over yourself. Have a discussion with me or with a real estate professional. Talk to local realtors, local business people to an area. Talk to people that live in that area. And then let's talk to some property managers and talk to some people that help people get rentals. And we also could help you with that too. But talk to both ranges of people. Tell me about what it's like to live here and own here. Okay, great. Tell me about what it's like to live here and rent here. Okay, great. But spend some time in the evenings in the areas that you think you want to live in, because it's one thing to roll through a neighborhood at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Tuesday, or as we say in Philly, a Tuesday. Well, it's a lot different at 7:30 at night in that neighborhood, and as people are home from work, or most people, and they're living their lives, and instead of working, they're trying to play and have some fun, you might see a whole different scenario there. So my point being is spend some time. Now, we do a ton of video tours. We actually video neighborhoods at all hours. We actually will do live tours with you on a Zoom call or Google Meets or something, where we're in the house and we're in the neighborhood and you're there right directly with us. So that could be beneficial. It's also a good idea to come, maybe spend 3-4 days in an area and then come back in a month or 2 and spend another 3-4 days. Most of what you see here on the channel is true. Hey, we give it to you straight. Most of what you can read, you probably see more negative than positive, so just be careful what you're seeing and reading. But I do appreciate you supporting the channel, and if you don't mind, hit that like button. But while you're hitting buttons, hit subscribe and hit that bell notification for all the great content to be notified thereof as we have a great idea. Anyway, have a great day, everybody. I'm Gregory Martire, local real estate expert here, buying, selling, renting in the greater Philadelphia area. Have a great day, everybody.
Work for me.